Good evening. Every year I used to post a recipe under the hashtag Dastarkhwan Ramzan. This year there is economic distress, migrant labor is still walking home and may or may not have access to an iftar. So I decided to post a story every day. This is Dastarkhwan for the soul. Welcome to Dastarkhwan Ramzan. My story today is about an ant and the Prophet Solomon. There are many stories which are attributed to prophets. The story that I am telling has been attributed to Prophet Solomon, who could understand the language of the birds, the beasts, the bees, the creatures like ants, and of course jinns and humans. So once upon a time there was a famine in Palestine. Prophet Solomon was the ruler, and he along with his people went into the desert to pray for rain. As he stood there, he saw a tiny ant praying to God, saying, "Oh God, send rain, alleviate our distress. We are too tiny a creature to be able to survive this drought." Prophet saw him, or saw the ant, and smiled and told his people, "Let's go back home. And we don't need to pray. The ant's prayers will be answered." And they were answered. There was rain. In the eyes of God, there's no creature good, great or small. Everybody, whoever prays with a good heart and a sincere heart, is heard. A surah in the Quran called Surah Al-Naml, the 27th surah, which talks of another story related to ants. It talks about Solomon's justice. He was very famous for his justice. The story is given in the Quran, and the Prophet Solomon was passing by, and there were some ants also there, and the queen of the ants said, "Oh, you ants, get into your dwellings, lest Solomon and his army crush you unawares." Surah Naml, verse 18. Solomon smiled at her, the ant's words, the next surah, and of course he did not crush her. So the ant could recognize danger and warned her people to stay away from the oppression of a ruler. The ruler was just enough to know that no, he has no business oppressing anybody, be it as tiny as an ant. This year we shall be at home. We shall be opening our fast with our loved ones, with limited means. This is the way I remember it as a child. There were no iftar parties except for one or two roza kushai, which is when the first roza is kept by a child, then you have a party. Apart from that, there would be just a simple iftar, and then you would pray, and then we would have dinner, and that is how it was. There were not very lavish meals, which we had got used to in the past few years or decades. So let us go back to the basics, spend our time in remembering God, thanking Him, and trying to help those who are less fortunate, whichever way we can, digitally, through people whom we trust, through mediums that we trust, and thinking of Allah, going close to Him, and being grateful. Thank you.